Hello. Good morning, wonderful and beautiful 2A class. I hope we are all well today. Coming in here, let's bring those levels up just a titch. Perfect. Now we're getting there. Okay. Oh my God, you guys are dropping names. Love it. Gonna hit my button anyway, my welcome button. But you know the drill, and I love that. Thank you so much. Matt, Jackie, Shannon, Adam, Madison, Dan, Ashley, good morning. Hello. Liana, Jaden, good morning as well. I hope you're all having a fantastic start to your Thursday. Thursday? Losing track of the days here. Mike and Joe are here. Hello, good morning, and welcome. How's everyone doing on this fine day? Oh, well, that's interesting. Now we're losing people. Oh, they're coming back. Jake is here. Good morning, Jake. We'll wait 30 seconds and get moving. As we're waiting, let me just give a big props to you guys. I'm going to start keeping track of some stuff. But I got 18 assignments from our class, which is awesome, which means we're only missing a small handful. I didn't look at who yet, but I did see that everyone had 2 attachments, which is awesome. So I'm looking forward to going through those today, tomorrow, and over the weekend. I'm probably going to get some of those edited together videos out on probably Monday. I'll probably start Monday with you guys getting those out on the Soch, maybe the YouTube channel. I don't know how I want to get that out. We'll see what the length comes down to. I'm probably going to edit on my home computer as my work computer has been overloaded with stuff. Anna, Nick, Dylan, and Lily are here. Good morning, hello, and welcome. So thank you guys for that project. Just a quick update on our outlook for the next week and a half. We have that weird kind of hybrid week where I guess it's a 2-day week before spring break. And what I'm looking to do, I started yesterday, going to continue working on stuff today with the tech office and a few other people in the building. But it seems that I've been able to, I don't want to say acquire, but we've reached out to a few companies in regards to some editing software. And we found one that's not even really software. It's like a browser-based editor that would feed off of Google Drive and work well with Google Classroom. So in essence, what you would be able to do is upload video clips to your Google Drive, import those clips into the editor from Google Drive, and then export directly back or export directly to Classroom. The possibilities are kind of endless. And this looks to be a pretty simple editor. So the notion of having clips and a playback monitor and a timeline are still going to be there. There's probably going to be a little less options than what we've used in class, of course, because Premiere is, a professional level editor. But this will allow us to change drastically what we do. And so I'm hoping that our school gets the ball rolling on that quickly, which means we can get that in your hands quickly so we can start to discuss and go over. You may have heard yesterday, the email went out that we are officially closed through spring break. So spring break does remain intact, and then they're going to reevaluate over the course of that week. Pardon. Excuse me. And then see where we are. Like I've said before, my guess would be we're probably out till May, if not longer. That's just my prediction based on what's going on in the world. So we'll see. But needless to say, we're going to have an opportunity, hopefully after a break, after a much needed rest from this online stuff, to go back to doing some simple editing projects, video projects, and things like that, which I'm really excited for. So my hopes are high for this software that it'll do what it's supposed to do the right way, and you can use it on your Chromebooks, and that's awesome. Okay, so that being said, the next thing that I wanted to talk about a little bit today is I'm going to call it our last big push before spring break. And what I mean by that is that I'm going to have you guys. I may have mentioned this. Oh, I don't have it near me. I'm going to go grab it. Tell me what you had for breakfast while I go find this prop to show you in my webcam. Okay, I'm back. So, what I'm going to have go over a little bit today, and we're not going to take the full time because I want this to be a project that you can look at from top to bottom today with our time together, and then kind of make an assessment as to when you can carve out time to do it. Pancakes, classic. Nothing. Didn't eat yet. Oh my God, you guys have to eat. You can eat while we're in class. That's the beauty of it. Grab a bowl of cereal. I had sausage and eggs and a muffin. It was fantastic. Okay. So as we prolong our outage from school, also, I'm hoping you guys are picking up on good habits in doing this online structure. A lot of colleges are shifting classes in that direction, and so I know that it does put a little bit more responsibility on you to find the best times to get things done. And so there might be teachers that are assigning a chunk of work and it's due at the end of a week, or here's an assignment, it's due next class, it's next class, it's next class, and you kind of have to balance both those extremes. And that's a perfect parallel to what happens in college, because I can promise you in college, your professors don't even talk to each other, and they most likely don't even know each other. So they're not concerned at all about what other classes you're doing and the work you have to do for it. And so that's an easy thing to forget as an educator, just so you know that I'm trying to consider some of that stuff in giving you guys work to do. And so knowing that the next assignment is going to require a larger chunk of time, I want to make sure that you guys have that chunk of time. Nick ate pasta. I had pasta last night for dinner. Toast is always a good one. Dry toast, Shannon? Butter, jam, cinnamon, sugar? What are you throwing on that bad boy? Don't say Nutella. Oh, please don't. Was it cold pasta, Nick? I'm just curious. I've done the cold pasta in the morning as well. It was a big college thing. Anyway, so what I have, and it's going to go live on Classroom soon, but I want you guys to hang with me so I can move through a few things just to prep you for this. I'm going to have you guys watch a film. It's a movie called Spotlight. It came out in 2015. It was actually the Academy Award winner for Best Picture. And the movie is outstanding. But it's a film that's going to challenge you a little bit, in that I know it's nothing that you would normally seek out and watch yourself. And so in doing that, I don't want it to be looked upon as Mr. Leonard's just picking these films for us because they're great, but I don't like them. I think you will, all right? But that's not to say it's not going to be a challenging watch, for two reasons. One, this isn't a film that spells everything out to you as it happens. All right, there's some things that are said that are referenced later, and you need to make sure we're paying attention. But two, it's based on a real life series of events that took place in 2001, and it has to do with an investigative journalism team in Boston going through the process and uncovering a sexual abuse scandals in the Catholic Church. And this was a pretty hallmark case report. Everything that came out of this series of events was pretty substantial back when it happened. And I think this film does a really good job of showcasing the process that it takes for reporters to go through and uncover some of this stuff, the work that gets put in, but also, some of the mental toll that it takes on them as well. And I think it really highlights the importance of journalism, especially in our day and age when, anything could be said and should be taken with a grain of salt. So I wanted to give you guys a quick rundown of some previewing terms and stuff that I just want you to be aware of. And I'm going to put all this in Classroom, but I think it's better with a little explanation. All right, so I'm going to bounce on over to... Yes, I'm catching up on the chat. Cream cheese is delicious. 1. Train to Busan. Adam, excellent movie. I really liked it. I thought that was great. If anyone gets a chance, Train to Busan. It's on Netflix. Great zombie film. I believe at the time it was the highest grossing film in South Korea. Is it South Korea or North Korea? I don't remember. But really, really excellent. Okay, so let's quickly get into some things on this program. And again, I'm going to just make sure I can bounce back and forth between my stream to check it, so bear with me as I'm shuffling some screens around because they like to get out of order and it's really frustrating. Okay, go full frame here, leave that open, and we're going to bop on over to my desktop cam. All right, let me just make sure that's working the way it should, and it is. Okay, cool. All right, so like I said, the film Spotlight came out in 2015, Academy Award-winning film for Best Picture that deals with the sexual abuse scandal in the Catholic Church. And so based on that, I want you guys to know that there's no... the film is rated R. There's no sexual activity in the film. There's going to be some foul language, but it's actually done pretty tastefully. There's going to be some sexual references and things, but it's a very smartly written film, and by that I mean it is meant to make you feel a little uncomfortable at times as in regards to what they're referencing and what's going on. And I just want you guys to know that my trust is in you to handle that content maturely. And I think that's one of the things that I'm asking of you is to be able to really sit down and know that, okay, we're going to get into something that is easy maybe to chuckle about, but I want you to try and take the content there a little seriously. So the premise of the film, like I said, based on true events and actual reports that dealt with the Boston Globe, which is a newspaper in Boston that did a in-depth report on the sexual abuse scandal inside the Catholic Church. And I think what you'll find in watching is that there is a really big significance and importance on people and groups of people that do this for a living. And as the film unfolds, you're going to see their process and how they go about getting information, who they talk to, why that's important that they get certain things, their process. One of the things I think this film does really well is highlight the journalistic process very, very, very strongly. You'll notice that when reporters are asking questions for an interview, and they're talking to people that have been sexually abused or, have kind of a troubled history, they're not really empathetic. And I think there's a really strong balance to have between trying to get information to do your job while also kind of you got to be a human being to some degree. And I think the performances in the film are outstanding, and they do a great job at just kind of drilling home that reporters are reporters, and they're doing this for a living. So just anticipate that going in. I think you'll recognize some of the faces in here. Mark Ruffalo, who plays the Incredible Hulk. Oh my God, why am I drawing a blank on his name? Stanley Tucci, who was he was that dude in the Hunger Games that had the TV show with the big teeth and the laugh. He's fantastic. Michael Keaton, who was Batman forever ago. Great acting pool. Rachel McAdams as well, who like Mean Girls or Wedding Crashers, films like that. So there's a few key things that I want you guys to be aware of just before we get. And I'm checking the chat real quick to make sure there are questions. I can't watch it. I can't watch it. Hey, that's what I was going to say. Are you guys trying to watch it on Google Classroom now? I put it up there. It was scheduled to go live about 6 minutes ago. So let me move through this next slide, and then I'll bounce back and check your answers. Okay, so some of the key things I wanted to get out to you, and they're going to be in the worksheet as well, but I'm just going to ask that you refrain from looking at that until I get through some stuff. Just a few key terms. Investigative journalism, which is the focus of this group. It's a type of journalism that requires research and multiple sources, and it's usually done over an extended period of time. So this isn't reporting on an incident and then publishing it immediately. This is usually stuff where you start to gather information slowly and tactfully in order to build a bigger, more robust story. I'm going to jump down to the bottom real quick. You guys may have heard the term parish before. If any of you, go to church or, practice a religion. So a parish is usually a community-oriented group of people associated with the church, and that can come in two forms. That can be like the people in the church that are organizing things. It could also kind of extend to people in the community that go to that church as well. So like a local priest at a church may have a parish, which he just considers the members of his church. I'm going to bounce back real quick before I get into the last name there. All right, no questions so far, other than I can't watch it, but I'm going to double check that in a sec. All right. There is a character in this film referred to as Cardinal Law. And if you're not familiar with the hierarchy of the Catholic Church, and I needed a little bit of research for this myself, most people know priests. Most people know, the Pope. And, if someone had said father in a film to a religious figure, we know that that's kind of a generalized term for like the head of a parish or a flock of people. Cardinal Law is actually a person's name. The character's name is Bernard Law, and he's not referenced by his full name in the film. Cardinal is his title. So if we're looking at the hierarchy, this was a really this should give you an idea of how high up the food chain this goes. Like priests are on a local level, like they're towards the bottom of that hierarchy. They're at the bottom of that chain. Underneath them is deacons. Deacons kind of assist priests. But at the top of it, like we have the Pope, okay, who is like the be all end all, spokesperson and face of Catholicism, and then right below the Pope are cardinals. Okay, so when they refer to cardinal law, they're actually referring to a person who is really high up on the Catholic food chain in regards to power and decision making and things like that. Underneath them are archbishops and bishops, and so they're really high up there. I'm going to pause for a second and then bounce back to the chat to see if there are any questions. Okay, so Dylan and Company, the film is posted up on Classroom. Whoopsie daisy. And yes, there will be multiple days for it. As I'm just checking it here. It's playing on my computer. I'm going to pause this for a sec. Pause. Why can't I pause it? All right, let's just close out of that then and bounce back here. Okay. We are having multiple days to do this. Yes, I'm going to go over that schedule towards the end of our time together. And that is a ton of tabs, Adam. Close those, man. Your computer or phone probably chugging right now. Okay, pause for a second. I'll just see if there are any other questions before I just press on. Hey, we don't need to redact our language. Dylan, stop using foul language. Multiple days next week means it's going to span. There is no like quote unquote free block, but our schedule is going to change a little bit. So I'm going to bounce back to the rest of our words here, and I can wrap this up and then answer all the questions we have. Okay. Some legal terminology that you should be familiar with, and maybe you've heard these things in like criminal dramas or courtroom dramas or other films. Early on in the film, they talk about the victims having a timeline in which to come forward and report the illegal activity that was done to them, their abuse. And so most states across the country, or most crimes, have a what's referred to as a statute of limitations. This is a legal thing that says after a crime is committed or to you, you have a certain amount of time to report that crime before you can no longer report it. And sexual abuse cases tend to vary. Sometimes it's up to a year, sometimes it's up to 10 years. It depends on your state. And so the reference early on in the film is that they're trying to get people to come forward, and they're putting a little pressure on them because they know that after a certain amount of time, they've reached their statute of limitations in which their I guess their complaint, but they're coming forward with that crime is no longer valid. So then no legal action can be pursued. So if hypothetically, I guess in the films, if someone is sexually abused and they don't say anything for, we'll just, again, hypothetically say 1 year, and then they come forward and say, I was sexually abused, they can say, well, when? All right. And if he said, well, over a year ago, the statute of limitations says that, you can't report that crime any longer. So that comes up early in the film. Another thing that will come up is the notion of being disbarred. Lawyers take what is referred to as the bar exam, and it's the means of licensing and certifying a lawyer. So this is kind of like the SATs for lawyers. They'll go to college, they'll go to law school, and at the conclusion of law school, they will take something called the bar exam. And if you pass the bar exam, it means you can be certified and licensed to become a lawyer. If you didn't know, you can't just become a lawyer without getting that certification. And so there are certain things that you are allowed to do legally and not allowed to do as a lawyer, with the idea that if you do illegal things, then you can be disbarred, meaning that they will take away your license and you are no longer legally allowed to practice law, okay? Which is kind of a way to keep lawyers in check. And so you'll see in this film that there are lawyers that had to represent people in the church that had committed sexual crimes. And they can talk about some things and they can't talk about others at risk of being disbarred. So if you hear that term, that's what it refers to. It means that they can be stripped of their license and then no longer able to be a lawyer. All right. Corroborate is a way to say that you're confirming a statement or theory. So it's kind of if they interview a witness and they say, well, I saw this person do that. If they came up to me and I agreed with them, then I would be corroborating that statement, basically saying I support it. I'm kind of the second person to clarify and make true that statement. So That doesn't mean it was true. It just means that I agreed with them in support of it. If it's found out to be inaccurate, then the more people that corroborate, then the weaker that case tends to be. So that's a pretty simple one that just comes up occasionally. Going to bounce back. All right, nothing in the chat yet other than everyone yelling at Dylan. Okay, cool. So we're going to go back and wrap up the last little bit here. Okay, so the goals for this for you, all right, is one, like I said, to challenge you. I know this is a film that you might not on your own sit down and watch. It's part of the reason why I want to watch it, or I want you to watch it. I watched it the other day and took very diligent notes. The other part is that this is a really well-told story. It's a fairly accurate film in the list of films that are based on real people, real events, and true stories. And I think the third reason will be that it's a great way to get an understanding of what a reporter and journalist will actually do. So it kind of gives you a little of the inner workings of a newsroom, of what an editor does and the meetings they have, and the way that these people will get out from behind a desk and go find people, track people down, interview people, it's pretty layered in that regard. And I think you'll understand then and get a better idea of the significance that reporters and journalism serves in our country and our world. All right. Last but not least, just a few things as they pertain to the assignment. So, all right, I'm going to move through the packet with you now and then hang for a bit to give you guys time to ask questions, okay? We will have multiple days for this. So this is going to be something that will be due by the start of class next Friday. All right, so if today's Thursday, I would see you guys Monday, Wednesday, Friday. That's not to say that I won't be available or be online streaming on Monday or Wednesday of next week, though. All right, so I changed this now as I'm realizing for my B-Day class, so I can save it as a different file. So our check-ins are going to be Monday, Wednesday. This will be correct on Google Classroom. The idea there is that if you watch the film, say between now and over the weekend, if you have questions on things or want some clarification on things, boom, I'm there Monday. If you watch it after that point, or even over the weekend, but you don't have time in your day Monday because you have some other projects that you're working on for other classes, I will also be there on Wednesday. What I'm going to try and do, I don't know how successful I'll be, I might try and screen the movie like an hour on Monday and the second hour on Wednesday with you guys and kind of do some commentary on things while we're watching. I don't know how long that will last because I think YouTube will flag that immediately and then shut some stuff down. So I may tinker with that idea, but I may not be able to logistically. All right, so what that's going to look like for class on Friday then. All right, just like today, we're all going to be there. All right, I want to have, I got some discussion questions posed for you guys that we'll be able to talk about. It'll be a day where we're going to do some light, talking in the chat, and then we'll break for that day. Now, heading into the week after, all right, we've got 2 classes before spring break, and I'm going to go into that with the mentality of I don't want to assign you guys anything to do over break. So that week where we'll meet then on Tuesday and Thursday, Tuesday, if there's anything, it's going to be something super small that you could do simply for Thursday's class, so we can meet Thursday, discuss it, and then boom, let's go enjoy our break. All right. So that's just a quick outline of what next week is going to look like. I'm going to bounce back here. Stream it on Discord? Adam. I'm going to write that down. Where's my notepad? Over here. I'll look into that. Actually. That's not a terrible idea. As I'm sure that kind of thing probably happens all the time then. And let me bounce back here since we're finished for now, or at least pausing for now. All right, to the people that said the movie wasn't working, and then now to Nick, who is saying, where do we watch the movie? The film is posted on Classroom. It's part of the assignment. So let me bounce over there now and just show you guys some stuff as I'm realizing I'm switching back and forth. Boom. Okay. So your post went live. Okay. Please note the due date, April 3rd. 1 minute before our meet time. All right, just to give you guys an overview of the attachments that are part of that. All right, so obviously the film is there. All right. I don't want to open it or convert it, but we're good. So the film will play here. Okay. Close out that tab. Let me move through the worksheet for you. I have open in a separate tab. I wanted to try and make this, like, this looks way more intimidating than it really is, gang. And part of that reason is because I really wanted to break things down for you. So at the top of it is a chart of the terms that I went over in the PowerPoint presentation. You have that presentation up there as well. So you can reference that later as well. But I have these in this worksheet so that you have them there for quick notice. I did a quick, just a visual reference for the characters that you're going to see, just to make sure that if you're kind of confused, like, you'll understand who they are because they look different, but they may not be as direct or clear with their names. So I highlighted some of the key characters with a visual reference. So if you're like, oh, I know this guy as the lawyer, but I forget his name, boom, there you go, and you have that there. All right, and then the questions down below. All right, the first series are based on actually watching the film. There's a few sprinkled throughout there that are kind of based on your thoughts and feelings. All right, but some of the deeper ones are down below. These are discussion questions. All right, that I'm going to have you do towards the end. And I understand that this is a little lengthy. I do. Okay, which is why we're getting Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. All right, 6 days in order to squeeze this in. The movie itself is about 2 hours, and I think you'll, if you really put time to sit aside and watch it, like, with tact, by meaning, like, sit down at a table, watch the film, have this sheet open in a separate tab, or like go split screen, side screen. I think you'll get sucked in really well. If you're just going to sit down to watch while you're, like, laying in bed, that might not be the best way to watch this movie. And that's not to say that it's boring, all right, but you kind of want to take have that strong mental mindset that, okay, you're going to sit down with, maybe take some notes, pause some stuff, fill some questions out, and then, bounce back to the film. That's what I did when I was going through and answering was, I would pause, take some notes, and then I used that to kind of form these questions. So, beep, boop, boop, boop. Dylan, you're right. And that's the one thing I was concerned with. I'm trying to limit, and maybe some of your other teachers are asking you to make accounts for stuff. I'm trying to limit the amount of counts and things that you guys need to be on top of, because that becomes a royal pain in the butt. And so that's part of the reason why I'm doing the YouTube streams, is that, you don't have to really log into anything, and you have an account because it's part of your, like, school account. So, I'm trying to simplify everything on your end, at least as much as I can. So the one thing I'll look into is, why can't I control the video once I press play? Like, here are the controls. Oh, they come back. Okay, so good. All right, I don't know why that wasn't working before, but all right, awesome. It's working now, and that's all that matters. Okay. Jaden, I don't think so. My like I said, my goal for this is to challenge you a little bit, get you understand the journalistic process from the inside, but also kind of open your eyes. I think the overall message, story, truth that comes out of the work that they do in this film, that the characters do in this film, is really eye-opening. And just so you know, one of my last questions on that sheet is, what were your thoughts and feelings once the credits started to roll? As the film ends, don't X out right away. Okay, like, I'm not saying you need to watch the scrolling credits, but there's some information about the actual Catholic Church scandal that comes up. And like, I've seen this film before, and I was watching it studiously yesterday, and even now, like I'm getting goosebumps thinking about that ending. And so I'm kind of curious what your thoughts are at the end of that. I understand there's gonna be parts that might confuse you, but I think the overall story you're gonna get. And so I think you may end up liking this. I'm just saying, go in with that. Go in with a positive mindset. Cold coffee is the worst coffee. Okay, so what I want to do now is just pause and take a breath. All right, if you guys haven't tabbed over and checked out that classroom post yet, do so. Make sure there are no issues in playing back the film. Make sure you take a look at that worksheet, all right, or the worksheet packet. Just so you know, some of those questions, if you look at first, are going to be rather perplexing, but will make sense as you move through the film. So, just to give you guys a little hint on that worksheet, the order of the questions is going to follow the order of the film. So if you get to a question towards the bottom and you have an answer to it because it's pretty obvious, and you realize that you missed three questions, odds are those questions had already come across in the film. So just kind of make sure that you're plodding along. I would absolutely make sure you read through the questions at least once before you get into the film, just so you know what to look for. There's some questions that I'm asking for like statistical information, and then there's some questions that are, hey, who's this character? Those are going to be pretty straightforward, but there are some other ones where you're going to have to think a little bit. All right. Adam, why are you going to ask your friend to stream it if I've put it up on Classroom for you? Like you have access to it right now. You can still talk to them while streaming it from Classroom. Silly goose. All right. So, all those assets for you, the presentation I talked about today, the question packet, and the film itself are on Classroom right now. We'll say formally at 10:37 and a half, we're going to wrap on today. So if you don't have any questions on that, feel free to bounce. All right, I'll be here for a little bit, probably the next 3-4 minutes, to see if anyone has any questions while they look over that. And of course, please, yeah, watch it with your mom, and then hopefully she won't get angry that I picked this film. All right, or raise any questions that it's rated R. It's a very good film, but I also understand that no one here is 17. That's okay. We're gonna roll with it. Yeah, I'm gonna say enjoy. But again, if you have questions between now and when we would normally meet on Monday, email. All right, I'll respond as quickly as I can. I feel for those of you that have reached out, I've been pretty good at trying to fire back right away. And on Monday, Wednesday of next week, we'll hold shorter sessions just to check in, answer questions. Maybe you watched part of the film and you're like, wait a minute, I'm really confused. I need clarification. Monday, ask that question. I'll do my best to clarify, and that might help you get the rest of the way through that film. So enjoy it. All right. Try and get outside if you get a chance to between now and over the weekend, just to get away from screens and stuff, and get some exercise, get some fresh air. All right. We'll see you on Monday, and remember, this will be due on Friday. So I'll hang here for a bit, but feel free to skedaddle, and talk to you later. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Very much appreciated, of course, and I look forward to watching your newscasts. All right, I'll see you next time. All right. If no other questions came in, I'm going to end the stream soon. Enjoy your weekend. We'll see you next week. All right. Bye.